What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome to the DFS Deep Dive on the For Frequency's Sake Network, brought to you by Durham Remodeling and Ryan Allison Tattoo. Ryan is actually a new sponsor of ours, so congrats, Ryan. It's awesome for you, bud. Check out some of his work. He does really work tattooing-wise. He's tattooed me a couple times. I'm Jordan Kernan, and I will be your host for this evening. Let me first just give a big shout out to the guys at the For Fantasy State Network. Excuse me. I love sports. I love talking sports, and to have a platform to actually talk about things, it's always been kind of a dream of mine. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. It's going to be my first year hanging out and kind of bringing you some DFS plays. How long have I been playing daily fantasy sports? I'd have to say that my love for the game started in 2017, as far as playing like DraftKings, FanDuel, but I've been playing fantasy sports since high school, so 2006, 2007. I like prop bets. I like to play. NFL is probably my favorite sport, but I would say that I play a lot of NBA and Major League Baseball as well. NBA is kind of where I got my first real big win. Last January, I took down a contest for $500, and about a week later, I took down two NFL contests, one for 800, one for 200. And then NBA was kind of good to me the rest of the year. Right before the playoffs, I took down a couple other contests. So I'm excited to have football back. My biggest win was in week 18, so I'm ready to get started, get going. As far as hobbies for myself, I like to golf. I play softball, really anything kind of stay active. I'm married with 3 kids, so you guys get to hang out with me in the basement that we're kind of remodeling. So hopefully one day I got a man cave and some sweet memorabilia that I've won on some razzes and stuff. But let's get into it, man. Let's get into the main slate breakdown. So DraftKings, we're going to start focusing on the Sunday slate, play all the noon games and the 3 p.m. games. Go ahead and take a look at where you're sitting at here for game totals. So first off, starting with the noon games, we've got the Houston Texans taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are a 9.5-point favorite. We have the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons, where the Falcons are an early 3.5-point favorite. Bengals at the Browns. Sounds like Joey Buckets is going to play, so that line has kind of moved a little bit. Bengals are going to be 2-point favorites here. 49ers at the Steelers. Steelers 2.5-point favorites. Washington Commanders taking on the Cardinals at home. Commanders are an early 7-point favorite. We got the Bucks going to Minnesota. Vikings are 5-point favorites. We've also got Jaguars playing against the Colts. Jaguars are 4.5-point favorites. And then to round out the noon games, we've got the Titans traveling to New Orleans, where New Orleans are 3-point favorites. We've got an afternoon slate here. 5 games. Raiders traveling to Denver. Denver early 3.5-point favorites. See how Sean Payton does there. See if he can turn around Russell Wilson's season from last year, because that was horrendous. Dolphins at the Chargers. Chargers are 3-point favorites. Got the Rams at the Seahawks. Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites. Cooper Kupp ruled out early. Wild. Sorry for everybody who took him in their season long. We got the Eagles at the Patriots. Eagles are 4-point favorites. And then to round out the afternoon, the Packers traveling to Chicago. Chicago 1-point favorites. See if Jordan Love can become the co-owner or secondary owner of the Bears here. So let's go into what I look for when I'm breaking down fantasy football. So I usually start my research probably around Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll start looking at kind of just salary pricing, stuff like that. Got a few different people that I follow, looking at ownership, stuff like that around the league. The games I'm looking to target are going to be those high-scoring games with the close spread. The first one that really jumps off the table here is going to be that Miami Chargers game. So highest total on the slate by far, almost by 7 points, 51.5 points. Chargers with a 3-point favorite here. That game just back and forth. I mean, last year both defenses weren't great. When Tua's on the field, he definitely elevates the Miami team, along with Justin Herbert being out there. I just think it's going to be a good back and forth game. Next game I have on my docket is going to be the Rams at the Seahawks. I had a little bit more interest when Cooper Kupp was out there because right now you're looking at kind of a ragtag group of wide receivers. So I'm kind of curious if the Rams can keep this game close. But usually those games, those division rivalry games for the Seahawks and the Rams are usually pretty back and forth, regardless of what's going on. One that I'm really interested in as well is going to be the Jacksonville at Indianapolis. I really, really like Trevor Lawrence this year. He's got a ton of weapons. I think that game could be kind of one-sided. I don't know that Indianapolis keeps it close. Anthony Richardson, tons of talent, but no Jonathan Taylor. Who are they going to hand the ball off to? And Jacksonville's defense has definitely been well improved over the years. And we've got Tampa Bay at Minnesota, 45.5-point total. Minnesota given 5 points to start. Tom Brady's gone. See what Baker Mayfield can do here. Minnesota, arguably the best wide receiver in the game, Justin Jefferson. I think he comes out. I think he eats. I think he'll get his. Then one that I think is going to be sneaky. There's actually a couple that I think are going to be sneaky, but out of all of them, I think my favorite one is going to be Green Bay at Chicago. I love Justin Fields. I love how electric he is. He is fantastic on the field. Just his upside with his legs and all that other stuff. And with DJ Moore, adding DJ Moore, Khalil Herbert's supposed to take the reins, but then they paid. Oh God, now I'm drawing a blank. Who did they add? Khalil Herbert. And who else here? Sorry, I guess excuse me. I had this pulled up earlier. Donta Foreman. That's who it is. Donta Foreman. And then they got Roshan Johnson as well. But Khalil Herbert sounds like he's going to be the one leading the backfield, at least with average draft position, all that other stuff. But they could very well split things up here. So let's jump into it. So there's 5 quarterbacks on the slate that I think are good. I've got 2 top tier. I've got 3 middle, and then I've got something to go ahead and save you some salary here. Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields are going to be my top tier quarterbacks. Some people are all over Lamar Jackson. I just think he's too expensive. I mean, you got to think that if you're playing in a tournament here, you have to have your quarterback have 3 to 4 times his salary in fantasy points. So if Lamar Jackson is going to be keeping you up in a tournament, he's got to have 30 plus points. I know he was hurt a lot last year. He didn't do a whole lot of that. And I feel like that game gets away. I feel like Baltimore kind of runs away with it, shows what they're made of right out of the gate. You can run all over Houston. So I don't think Lamar gets there. I'd be more interested in some of those secondary pieces, and we'll get into the running backs and stuff here in a bit. But Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. Jalen Hurts, $7,800. Justin Fields, $7,700. Those guys just do it all. I mean, they can throw, they can run. Justin Fields more than anything. I mean, he ran for his life last year and just tons of yards. There's a lot of people saying that he could have an MVP caliber season. It just depends on what he can do with his arm. But I mean, rushing wise, and I think the Bears have a good turnaround. Terrible finish last year, but I think they definitely compete for the NFC North. Maybe, because after what the Lions did to the Chiefs yesterday, what a fun game to watch. Then if you want to get into the middle tier, out of that really fun game to watch, the Chargers and Miami, Justin Herbert, Tua. I mean, you could go with either one. Justin Herbert's a little bit more expensive than Tua, just a couple $100. They say that you're supposed to take home favored quarterbacks. I'm not a big. Everybody loves Justin Herbert. I'm not a big Justin Herbert believer as far as it comes to DFS. He just doesn't get you there. He doesn't score the points that he needs to. It seems like every time he gets put in one of these positions, he's a letdown. I'd rather have Tua, and you can stack Tua with either Waddle or Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill feasts in this game. The next quarterback I've got is Trevor Lawrence. He's just got a ton of weapons. You could see them come out and really show their dominance. Let the Colts knows what's going on, and I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. Stack him with Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. I never stack a quarterback with a running back unless he's a pass catcher. So like your Justin Herbert with Austin Eckler would be a good one. But yeah, I would stick to Trevor Lawrence and his pass catchers. Then scrolling all the way down, I mean, you can play likes of Kirk Cousins. He's one of those same guys, he'll have a boom game every once in a while, but usually he's more of on the bust side. He just doesn't seem to quite get you there. He usually just, he hones in on Justin Jefferson, or the running game really kills you. Scrolling down, you got Geno Smith, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was horrendous last year. He's got to prove something to me before I'll even consider it. Matthew Stafford, just without his biggest weapon, I just don't think you can go there. Anthony Richardson, I think I'm more on the defensive side of that game. I think Jacksonville's defense has some takeaways and stuff. Like I said, Richardson's got a ton of talent, but I think I'm staying away from him. I'm staying away from Bryce Young. I'm staying away from CJ Stroud. Let these rookies prove something to me. Brock Purdy going up a pretty decent Pittsburgh defense. I think he can still show out, but he's not my pay down quarterback. You got Derek Carr, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett going up against the San Francisco D is just not fun. Derek Carr is somebody who kind of interests me a little bit, but man, if you've ever wanted a daily fantasy quarterback who doesn't do anything for you when he's supposed to, that's your poster boy right there. Some people say Jordan Love. I think that he could come in and show out. Maybe he's got kind of an Aaron Rodgers-esque start to his football career after sitting behind him for so many years. The guy I want to get to, though, and the guy who's pretty high owned across the board, a lot of ownerships out there. He's shooting close towards 10%. Sam Howell. Sam Howell going up against a horrendous Cardinals defense. I think Sam Howell, if you're going to play in cash games, and to differentiate between cash games and like your tournaments are going to pay out the better you do, the more money you make, where your cash games are going to be like your 50-50s, your double ups, where it doesn't matter how high you score, everybody cashes the same. Sam Howell lets you do so much with your salary, and with the rest of your lineup, and you can pair him with Jahan Dotson, who is my favorite pair with him, or it sounds like Terry McLaurin's going to play. So you could definitely pair him with Terry McLaurin. It sounds like he's out of his walking boot and he's ready to go. It sounds like he's 100% according to everybody else. For my lineup, I went with Tua. So I've got Tua in there, and we'll get into the stack pieces here shortly after. I think Tua and Justin Herbert play a real big back and forth game. I like Tua, and I like him stacked with his two wide receivers. Getting into the running backs here, I like the middling approach on running backs, and actually it's not even middling. I mean, they're pretty far down on the list. You could go with some of the same things that you've had. You look at the top tier. You got Christian McCaffrey going up against Pittsburgh. When he joined the 49ers last year, he was fantastic, lighting it up. I think the big thing here is that you've got Elijah Mitchell, who's healthy, and I think that from what I've heard, that San Francisco is really going to kind of try to dial back Christian McCaffrey's touches to kind of save him for the postseason, from what I've heard anywhere, of what I've read. And his salary, just $8,700. And that's the same thing. He's got to be getting, 3 times his salary, 4 times his salary, just to keep pace in a big tournament. So you're talking he's going to have to score close to 36 points just to keep you in the range. Going down, my 2 top tier guys that I really like, Austin Eckler. The guy's equity is a PPR. He's a PPR beast. He's going to catch passes. He's going to run. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to do it all. Same thing though, $8,400 salary. And so he's got to keep pace with, 30 to 35 points just to keep pace. somebody who I'm really interested in, who I tried to grab in all my season-long leagues, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is just an animal. No Kareem Hunt there to kind of slow him down. He's going to get all the touches. There's nobody really there to compete. We'll see. Hopefully, he gets some passing game work. But I really, really like Nick Chubb. Season long. He's a home running back. They're not favored, which is a big thing. They usually say to take running backs that are favored at home or that have a big spread, where they're going to grind it out. They're going to take a big league and they're going to run out the clock, save everybody. So Nick Chubb against Cincinnati, I could see him run all over him. Then we get into the next tier of groups. You got Bijan Robinson at 8,000. Just same thing with a rookie. I mean, kind of look at like what Jahmyr Gibbs did last night. Not a whole lot. Now, granted, they have a little bit different slate. They've got David Montgomery, who they paid to be the number one, where Jahmyr Gibbs is just kind of coming in and learning. But they split snaps. He just didn't do a whole lot. David Montgomery ended up with a touchdown. I don't know that we see anything like that with Bijan and Tyler Algier, but who knows? They could try to keep the rookie fresh. Jonathan Taylor, just kidding. Jonathan Taylor's out forever. Nope, we're waiting on him. He's out for at least the first 4 games. We got Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson. Josh Jacobs lit it up last year, man. He broke slates left and right. Oh, let's see. Take a look here. Yeah, 51-point game, 40-point game. I mean, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 games, 30 points or more. So, I mean, he's definitely a guy who could pay off his salary really easily. $7,700. If you're looking at 4X, you're talking, 30 points, and he can do that. He can easily do that. Derrick Henry, all this talk about old running backs and Derrick Henry, and I think he's got something to come out and prove to show that he's still got it. I just don't think this is the spot. Ramondre Stevenson against the Eagles, I don't see that. I think the Eagles come out to an early lead and they make New England really have to throw the ball. Then you're getting to the range of under 7,000. Travis Etienne against Indianapolis. If Jacksonville gets out to a big lead, taking Travis Etienne to chew up some clock. The one thing I do worry about is Tank Bigsby. Definitely could take some goal line carries from him. Kind of what we saw last year with the Lions, where DeAndre Swift he'd do a lot of the groundwork, and then they hand the ball off to Jamal Williams for his 36th touchdown of the year. Then you got Joe Mixon. Just Joe Mixon, he's either boom or bust. He either has a huge game and it all goes through Joe Mixon, he scores 4 touchdowns, or he doesn't do anything. I think you could definitely go a little bit differently, and I think I'd rather stack Joe Burrow and his pass catchers. One of the running backs I'm super interested in, J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins at home against Houston, almost a double-digit spread. Everything lines up for J.K. Dobbins. He's home. He's huge favorite. Finally healthy. And man, when he was in there last year, he would tear it up. Granted, he would, it wasn't in there a whole lot. A lot of injuries last year, but man, he's just explosive. I think he's got some time. I think he's definitely got some. I think if you can afford him, you get to him. Depends on how you want to approach it. Alexander Madison, James Conner, Aaron Jones, Cam Akers, Najee Harris, Kenneth Walker, Dameon Pierce. These are all guys who are, 6,500 to down to 6,000. I'm really intrigued by Alexander Madison. Tampa Bay's got a pretty decent defense. James Conner, I think Washington can be attacked through the run. And I mean, if you're starting Joshua Dobbs at quarterback, maybe you hand the ball off a little bit, see what James Conner can do. Definitely touchdown equity there. Aaron Jones, splitting some time with A.J. Dillon, but Chicago can be ran on. And Aaron Jones is definitely the higher upside guy as far as PPR goes. Cam Akers going up against Seattle. Seattle's defense isn't what it used to be. And it was kind of a shock last year where Cam Akers, a lot of people drafted him high and early, and then he was in the doghouse for a little while. And then at the end of the season, they started running him again, and he showed that he was the guy. So we'll see what Sean McVay does here. But, I like him, and I like him daily fantasy, or I like him season long. more than I like him daily fantasy, at least right now. I think he could definitely come out and show out. Najee Harris, just terrible year last year. Nothing like his rookie year. And just, I guess it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't what you expected. When Big Ben was in there checking down everything, I mean, he's just getting targets left and right. Now that you got Kenny Pickett, who can throw the ball a little bit more. I actually really like Kenny Pickett along with his pass catchers more this year. I think he just has an opportunity to air it out. But I think they could use Najee. But going up against San Francisco's #1 ranked defense, it's not the time. Let's see. Kenny Walker, I'm not really interested in. Damian Pierce against Baltimore, I think they're going to be playing catch up. I think they start passing the ball a lot. Javonte Williams coming off the ACL. They picked up Samaje Perine. Who knows? They could ease him back in. But Las Vegas can be attacked through the run. Miles Sanders against Atlanta. A lot of people saying that Miles Sanders is going to have a big year. I guess we're going to wait and find out. Like I said, we were kind of going down the list. I named off a lot of running backs, right? The two running backs that I have in my line right now, Rashad White, and Jamal Williams. Now, Jamal Williams is one of the highest owned backs on the slate. Actually, he is the highest owned back on the slate. Over 20% owned, but no Alvin Kamara. And Derek Carr likes to check it down. I think Jamal Williams plays a bigger role right now while Kamara's out. And I think he's definitely got a lot of equity. So right now in my lineup, I've got Rashad White and Jamal Williams. Somebody else who's kind of interesting, if you were looking to get a little contrarian and be a little bit different than the field, you look at that big game that with Tua and Justin Herbert. If you're going to stack Justin Herbert with his pass catchers or Austin Eckler, get different and run it back with Raheem Mostert. Jeff Wilson Jr.'s out. Achane or however you pronounce his name. He was banged up in preseason as well, and I think that just opens the door for Mostert to kind of come in and assert dominance as the #1 back. DJ said, "Show the people my shirt, for frequency sake shirt." Get that at I think it's Fat Dad. But I've got this one. We've got another one for fantasy sake on there. Love them both. They fit real nice. I got a little bit bigger shirt, so when I start going to the gym, I can start trying to fill this one out. That's kind of my goal. I'm going to start working out by doing shirts. Ooh, I like this. All right, here come. I am a skinny dad. You're not wrong. Let's see. Do I flex Pickens versus the Niners or Khalil Herbert versus the Packers? That's a good question. I love Pickens. I really do, and I think he's got really good. I think he's got really good upside and really good connection with Kenny Pickett. Khalil Herbert. I mean, I don't know that you can go wrong necessarily. Khalil Herbert's probably going to be split in time with Foreman. I do think Herbert has a little bit more PPR value, but he's also going to have stuff taken away from not only D'Onta Foreman, but Justin Fields as well. I think you have to go with Pickens. Oh, I agree with you. Niners defense is good, but like I said, I think they might, if they hold them up, they might have to air it out a little bit or try to at least get the short pass. Yeah, I like Pickens. I like Pickens. Pickens would be my choice if it were up to me. So looking at my lineup right now, I've got Tua, Rashad White, Jamal Williams. That's my first starters, my quarterback, my two running backs. Flex position for me. Talking daily fantasy, I usually always try to go with a wide receiver. They just have a lot higher ceiling. Their floor is a little bit lower, but the ceiling's there. So if I'm playing a big tournament, I definitely like wide receiver in the flex. Now, if I'm playing like a cash game or 50-50, I want the floor. I want somebody who's going to get me guaranteed points. So I usually go with somebody safe, like a running back. So let's get into the wide receivers here. You got your top tier wide receivers. Everybody is all over Justin Jefferson this year. I love Justin Jefferson. Do not get me wrong. But his salary at $8,800, that's a lot. That's a lot to pay off. Granted, Week 1, Justin Jefferson last year, 42.4 points. Just insane game against the Packers. 9 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 targets. I mean, you look at his average targets throughout the season. I mean, just 11, 12, 13, 13, 13, 16, 11, 11, 15. I mean, just the guy's a target monster. I do think TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison do, take away a little bit, but Justin Jefferson's the guy. If you're going to play him, I think you play him in your Kirk Cousins stacks. It's tough to get to him alone. You got to be kind of playing like, hey, Kirk Cousins is going to go off. Cooper Kupp ruled out, like I kind of said in the intro there. That sucks, man, because he was I had high hopes for him. I think I took him in a couple season longs, but that's just crazy. That's my next guy, Josh. Tyreek Hill, favorite play on the slate. I think Cheetah goes off. $8,200 salary. I think he can pay it off, though. I mean, the guy's got just tremendous speed going up against a division rival. I'm sorry, not a division rival, but if you remember the games last year, it seemed like there was just a rivalry between the two teams. Scored 24.1 points in this matchup last year. He had 10 targets last year in this matchup and only caught 4 of them for 81 yards and a touchdown. So imagine if he catches 2 more of those targets, puts up 100 yards. I mean, instead of 24 points, he's putting up 30 to 35. I think he can pay off his salary no problem. And he's actually he's my wide receiver that I stacked to in my lineup. Jamar Chase against Cleveland. I just think I'd rather pay up the $100 for Tyreek Hill. Same thing with Devonta Adams. I'd rather just get find the $300, pay up for Tyreek Hill. AJ Brown, Keenan Allen, and Devonta Smith. I think AJ Brown and Devonta Smith you stick with in your Jalen Hurts stacks. And I wouldn't do both. And that's just me. That's just my opinion. I think Jalen Hurts does a little bit more with his legs. I just don't think he's going to drag 2 people along with him. So if I had to pick, I think, honestly, they're both the same player. They're both really explosive. I actually like Devonta Smith a little bit more. Andy's a little bit cheaper. A good bring back if you're going to do a Tua stack. Keenan Allen, $7,300. Keenan Allen is, when he's in there, he's a red zone monster. He catches a lot of balls, and I think Herbert looks for him early and often. Scrolling down, DK Metcalf. There's a lot of talent on the Seattle team. You got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith. The rookie that's coming out. I think he could take away some touches from these guys. DeAndre Hopkins, I'd like to be curious to see how he does with Ryan Tannehill at the helm. I think they're going to have to throw a little bit to keep up with New Orleans. So DeAndre Hopkins is viable. T. Higgins, same thing. I think he's viable. Tyler Lockett. Jerry Jeudy, I think we're still waiting on confirmation on whether or not he's actually injured. But that's going to get into my one of my cheap plays if Jerry Jeudy's ruled out. Getting into the mid-tier, 6,500 below, you got Calvin Ridley. He is right now coming back from the suspension. I think he's got something to prove. I think he's going to want to come out and prove that he's still got it. He can play the game, and that what happened to him is he wasn't a fluke when he was in there. Chris Olave, I think he's going up against Tennessee. I don't know that they're going to have to throw it a whole lot. I don't know how high scoring this game is. I just don't. I like it and I don't. I think Derek Carr can get the ball to him. I don't know that it's necessarily an upgrade at quarterback, but Olave just targets alone. I mean, the guy was he was a beast when he was in there. Yeah, targets. Yeah. I mean, 13, 7, 6, 14, 7, 9. I mean, even on a bad week, he's getting 6 to 8 targets. And he can just do a whole lot with them. Who did I have in here? Yep, that's right. Sounds like Terry McLaurin's going to play. Turf toe in the preseason. Wasn't a walking boot not that long ago, but reading up on it, he doesn't carry an injury designation. He could end up going, when you look at injuries and stuff like that, to me, the biggest thing with those is if they're slated to play, they're ready to go. They're 100% in my eyes. Very often you see, like people are like, oh man, he's questionable. Like if you're questionable and you're there to play, like you're gonna play. Like they're not gonna risk getting you hurt and having you play, you know, half speed just to be out there. I think Terry McLaurin plays, and I think he could definitely go under the radar as far as ownership goes. I think you could get a little bit different than him. Josh, I've got Dotson in my lineup. He's my other guy. I really do like Dotson. I think him and Sam Howell have a good connection. I'm more saying along the lines to get different. A lot of people are going to go at Dotson. Looking at ownerships, actually, neither of them are in the top 25 of ownerships. But I picked Dotson to score a touchdown this week, so hopefully I'm not wrong. I don't want to go 0-1. I'd like to stay 1-0 to start the season. I'm just saying you can get different from the field and go with Terry McLaurin. Mike Evans with Baker Mayfield throwing to him, not a big fan. Michael Pittman, I wasn't high on Michael Pittman last year, and now you got a rookie throwing to him. DJ Moore is intriguing. I think you save him and you stack him with Justin Fields. I really like DJ Moore. First catch in preseason, takes one to the house. He's just explosive. And then they're going to have to keep tabs on Josh, you keep taking all my stuff, guy. Let me get there. But yes, no, I agree with you. I like that. He's my paid on option. He's the guy, man. Like Judy's out, Marvin Mims, but we'll get there. Christian Watson, that's a new one. I did not realize that Christian Watson was out. So Christian Watson being out, if you're going to go with the Justin Fields stack, you go with Justin Fields, DJ Moore, maybe bring it back with Romeo Doubs. See how things go there. Or was it Musgrave, Luke Musgrave, the rookie. But we'll keep talking wide receivers here. Chris Godwin, again, Baker Mayfield throwing the ball. I think they're going to have to throw to keep up, and they got to throw to somebody, right? But I like Rachaad White in that a little bit better. I think Baker checks down. I just don't think he's that great accurately when he goes deep. I like Amari Cooper going up against Cincinnati, especially if Cincinnati gets out to a lead. Christian Kirk, again, I'd save him for your Trevor Lawrence stacks. Deebo Samuel, super cheap at 5,500. I mean, God, what was he trending last year? Last year. Started off at $7,400 and only got underneath that just a few times. Really, at the tail end of the season, after they traded for Christian McCaffrey, his salary really dropped. I mean, he was $6,900 all the way through week 10, and then week 14, $6,100. I mean, and then he was kind of shut down for the rest of the season, but his value kind of dropped off. And Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he was a real big gadget guy before they got him. So, yeah, I think Brandon Ayuk better, and that's just my opinion. Drake London, target monster. Little bit different quarterback here. You can Desmond Ritter, but preseason he definitely looked at him a little bit. Rashad Bateman, I'm not too sold on Rashad Bateman. I think that Zay Flowers takes over as either the 1 or 2 wide receiver, and either leaves Odell Beckham or Rashad Bateman on the outside looking in as the season goes along. Deontay Johnson, target monster a couple years ago. Kenny Pickett comes into the picture, and he just a terrible year last year. Deontay Johnson, I think he has a bounce back year. I think they really utilize him kind of like in the Michael Thomas role. I think he can show out and get a lot of targets. Marquise Brown, no thanks. Josh Dobbs is throwing you the ball. I'm good. Cortland Sutton, stepping up as the number 1 wide receiver here. If Jerry Jeudy's out, I like Cortland Sutton, especially if the Raiders get out to a lead. Cortland Sutton's going to, Russell Wilson's got to throw to somebody. Jordan Addison, the rookie from Minnesota, explosive guy. I think that he might take a backseat to Jefferson and Hawkinson to start. Michael Thomas, if you're going to play Michael Thomas, I stack him with Derek Carr all day. I think him or Olave or both of them. I think Derek Carr doesn't do a whole lot with his legs, so if you're going to stack Derek Carr, I think Michael Thomas and Olave are the guys. Odell Beckham, the Baltimore wide receivers, I just think they run the ball all over Houston, so I'm kind of staying away from them. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods. Technically the wide receiver one, but I like Nico Collins. Traylon Burks playing behind DeAndre Hopkins. He had a good rookie year last year, but we'll see what happens here. He was also kind of banged up and looks like he was quick to rebound from the LCL injury, though. Full participant on Wednesday, so if you're going to play him, stack with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, I wouldn't play Tannehill at quarterback. George Pickens, I like George Pickens. No Odell. I'm looking at something that I'm kind of curious to where you got that news. I don't see that Odell was injured unless I'm reading that wrong, Josh. Still scrolling down. Brandon Ayuk, there he is. I think he's got a ton of upside for the year, but I don't think that it's his week this week. Jacoby Myers, Juju Smith-Schuster, Nico Collins again. I mean, you really kind of start to get out of. I really don't have anybody under $5,000. Jahan Dotson, he's in my lineup. I like Jahan Dotson. The other guy in my lineup is Mike Williams. I like Mike Williams as a bring back on your Tua stack. I've got Tua stacked with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's my flex player. Bring it back with Mike Williams. I do like Keenan Allen a little bit more, but Mike Williams is just more affordable at $5,700. But then Jahan Dotson at $5,000. I liked it a lot more when Terry McLaurin was hurt. And actually, you know what? I might like it a little bit more now Terry McLaurin's back. So I think Terry McLaurin being back opens up Jahan Dotson a little bit more. Yeah, Josh. Yeah, I read that. Okay, yeah. No, Odell Beckham right now not showing an injury designation. I think he didn't have an injury designation. Made a sudden appearance Thursday as a limited participant due to an ankle injury, but he may put. Yeah, I think they took the designation away. Full practice to wrap up the week. And then, yeah, Mark Andrews still being questionable. Yeah, I think that's why I think J.K. Dobbins is a great play. But that's just me. All right, so let's go into the tight ends. Yeah. Oh, I almost forgot him. I'm glad you reminded me. Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims at min price for a wide receiver on DraftKings. If Judy's out, he's the number 2 wide receiver. Really, really, really explosive guy. Did a lot. Preseason, 2 targets, 51 yards, rushed once for 3 when they played the Rams. Also returned a punt. I mean, it sounds like he also had a 75-yard touchdown that was called back. Yeah, I think he is definitely an explosive guy that if you really want to save some salary, he's the guy to do it with. Tight ends. My tight end in my lineup is Hayden Hurst. I really like Hayden Hurst. All the talk around anything Carolina is that he's the guy in the red zone. So, I mean, Hayden Hurst at $3,000, he catches a couple passes for a touchdown. All he needs is 15 points, and you're looking at 5x. So, I think that's huge. But let's go through the tight ends here. Right off the rip, you got Mark Andrews, TJ Hockenson, George Kittle. Those are your kind of top tier, your top tier guys. Mark Andrews dealing with a quad injury, might not play. Listed as questionable. Van Jefferson, yes, Josh, you're right. Van Jefferson, I'm going to add him to my list. Actually, I knew there was somebody else, but Van Jefferson with Cup on the shelf, I think that's huge. I think you're right. Back into the tight ends, yeah, listed as questionable. Andrews listed as questionable, quad injury. And then you got George Kittle, who's also dealing with a groin injury. I like George Kittle. Him and Brock Purdy had something magical when he started. Really kind of resurged George Kittle's fantasy season because it was not looking very great. It was pretty bleak, injured week 1 and 2, and then 6.8, 4.4, 8.7 points. And then a couple games where he's good, then bye week, but then 3, 5, 4, 6, and then Brock Purdy starts in week 15, and then 25, 33, and then throughout the playoffs, just getting targets. So I like him and Brock Purdy to be together, but once again, you got to watch the injury designation. If I'm going with anybody, I'm going to go with T Hawk. I think if I was playing Kirk Cousins, I'm stacking Kirk Cousins with TJ Hawkinson. That's just my opinion. I think Justin Jefferson is there, but yeah, I like TJ Hawkinson. Then you get down to the $5,000 and below. I'm not a huge fan of Dallas Goedert this week. I just think the wide receivers could do a little bit more against New England. Tyler Higbee is a guy who this man will see 10 targets and score 8 points. He is not the greatest fantasy tight end, especially for DFS. Regular fantasy, yes, because especially if you're PPR. But look at this. Week 4 last year, 14 targets, 10 catches, 73 yards, 17.3 points, and his salary at $4,300. It's keeping you on pace. That is 4x. But man, just you would expect with 14 targets just to do a little bit more. That's exactly it. Yep. Kirk and TJ Hawkinson, great pivot, and they're going to stack Kirk and Justin Jefferson. Yeah, I think that's huge. But yeah, Tyler Higbee, he doesn't produce in daily fantasy. He just doesn't. I drafted him in a couple season longs just because PPR point. That's huge. But yeah, for $4,800, you're talking he's got to score 20 points just to get 4x his salary, and he just didn't do it last year. Evan Ingram, I do like Evan Ingram. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed on Jacksonville. You could get a little bit different. Everybody's going to stack Trevor Lawrence with Calvin Ridley or Christian Kirk. I think you could go Trevor Lawrence and one of those two and Evan Ingram, just to be a little bit different. I'm going to be eating crow here because when we were doing the Sunday show, somebody goes Kirk Cousins, and I immediately shot it down just because I'm not a Kirk Cousins hater, but daily fantasy, he just hasn't done it. He's won a couple people, $1 million a couple times, and you see it, but he's not consistent. And when I look for a quarterback, I want a floor, but I think I might throw in a Kirk Cousins lineup. I think that Kirk Cousins with Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and then run it back with Rachaad White, save a little bit of salary. See, Josh, you're better than me. But yeah, I could eat crow. I probably have a lineup with Christian Kirk in there. Back to the tight ends. Dalton Schultz on a new team with Houston. Houston's going to have to throw it. I think he could end up being a security blanket. I just think there's bet. I think you can save a little bit of salary. He's got to score 20 points, and I don't think Houston's going to score. I don't think Houston's going to score early and often enough to have him be out there. Kyle Pitts, man. Kyle Pitts is he's priced so high, and just for a guy who caught how many touchdowns did he had? 2 touchdowns last year, and neither of them in the States. It's the running joke now. Both of them at a game overseas. Let's see how many touchdowns catches he can have with Desmond Ridder. It could be a security blanket, but I'm staying away until he proves otherwise. Cole Kmet, everybody was talking about Cole Kmet last year and how he did have a couple pop games, but nothing crazy. I think if I was going to stack anybody, it'd be Justin Fields and DJ Moore. The first tight end after Hawkinson that I have on my list, Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett gets a ton of targets. Not very well known, not very talked about guy, but yeah, you look at last season. On average, getting 6 to 8 targets in a high scoring game. You could get a little bit different there. Go ahead and do if you're going Tua instead of trying to do maybe one of the wide receivers, maybe you come back with Gerald Everett, save yourself a little bit of salary, let you pay up a little bit running back if you'd like. David Njoku is the next one on my list. I drafted him in most of my season-long fantasies. I think with Deshaun Watson under center, having a full year under his belt, having a whole offseason to practice, having the preseason to train, I think David Njoku has a really good year. Pat Fryermuth, Greg Dulcich. Dulcich actually is listed as a tight end too, but I think he has a better year than what people think. Fryermuth, same way. I like him, but I think there's better options down here below. I really like Juwan Johnson from New Orleans at 3,900. Just there's so many. The Taysom Hill. Then you bring back God, what's his stupid name? Oh God, big tall guy. Oh, it's gonna bug me now. Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham's back in New Orleans. They got Taysom Hill, and then they even signed Foster Moreau. It's so muddy. I really do like Juwan Johnson. I think he's a great player. I can't back him behind that. I mean, $4,000, he's got to get 16 points. I just don't see it happening. Chigokonkwo, he really came on last year. I could see him being, maybe getting a touchdown. Irv Smith Jr. looks like the number one tight end in Cincinnati, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. Hunter Henry was good. I don't think the Philly defense lets Mac Jones throw the ball. Zach Ertz, he actually popped up as questionable. They were talking about him being out for the first month, but he comes in as questionable. They haven't listed him as out. So if Zach Ertz plays, and if he plays to the fullest at $3,400, that could be a steal. So watch his injury news. K-Dot, no. Jelani Woods is on the IR. Logan Thomas, I guess if you're going to go with Sam Howell, Sam Howell does rush a little bit, but I think you could stack Sam Howell with two, Sam Howell with McLaurin and Logan Thomas, McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, however you feel. Mike Gesicki with New England, splitting with Hunter Henry, no thanks. If Zach Ertz is ruled out, Trey McBride. Trey McBride's I think, he could be a good security blanket, super cheap, $3,100. But if I'm looking at all around, Hayden Hurst is my guy. I think he's got high upside. Like I said, he could score anywhere from, if he just a couple catches and touchdown, he's in the, I think he's in the nuts. So Hayden Hurst. So if you're looking at my lineup here, I got Tua. I stacked them with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Rachaad White, Jamal Williams are my running backs. I brought my stack back with Mike Williams. And then I also have Jahan Dotson. Hayden Hurst is my tight end. And that leaves me $3,700 left over for defense. Ravens defense, a lot of people say pay down at defense. If you want to be different than the field, pay up for it. That being said, that's the easiest way to save salary. I don't know that there's been a couple times where I've seen people actually take down a tournament because they play, the highest paid defense on the slate. And that's just being different because nobody wants to spend the salary. Washington defense is 2,800. I'm all over Washington's defense. I think they're the cheapest viable. So if you do need the salary, you can save it. Where I think I'm going to be a little bit different is I like Jacksonville against Indianapolis. Not saying that Indianapolis is a horrible team, but I just think Anthony Richardson makes a lot of. I think he makes some errors. I think he'll be good down the line, but I think the Jacksonville defense. I think they get to him. I think they can get to him. I think he makes a couple mistakes. Maybe an interception, run back for a touchdown. I could see that happening. Josh Dobbs is he's a seasoned vet, and if that's who they're going to roll out, he might be a little bit more careful with the ball. I think Richardson will run too, but I think that he runs, gets a little loose, and I don't know, man. I think that Jacksonville could get some sacks. I think he could rack up some sacks, maybe cause a fumble, interception, take one to the house. So if I'm one of the lineups that I'm going to enter, the one that I actually kind of really like the most when I was building it, that just kind of fell in place. Tua, Rachaad White, Jamal Williams, Jahan Dotson, Tyreek Hill, Mike Williams, Hayden Hurst, Jalen Waddle in the flex, and Jaguars defense. That was kind of what I liked that I kind of entered in a couple tournaments already. If you want to get to what I think is if you're going to play in a 50-50 or a cash lineup, I think you could definitely be a lot different here. And I think you could definitely pay up at wide receiver in a lot of different spots. If I was playing a 50-50 cash lineup right now, I've got Sam Howell, and I stacked him with Jahan Dotson. So Sam Howell, J.K. Dobbins, Jamal Williams, Jahan Dotson, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Hayden Hurst. What was my other guy here? Hayden Hurst, and then the Commanders defense. Now you could be, you could go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to pay all the way up for defense. And then you could pay down in your flex spot. As a matter of fact, I think that would work. You go with TJ Hawkinson instead of Hayden Hurst, and that leaves you exactly $3,000 for our boy Marvin Mims. So if I was running a cash lineup, which I will, and this will probably be my cash lineup, Sam Howell at quarterback, J.K. Dobbins, and Jamal Williams at running back, Keenan Allen, Jahan Dotson, Tyreek Hill at wide receiver, TJ Hawkinson at tight end, Marvin Mims in the flex, and going with Ravens defense to round it out. I know I talked about wanting the floor, and you could definitely get that way if you want the floor. If you're a little worried about whether or not Marvin Mims is going to have if he's going to have any targets or anything like that, you could definitely pay down with the Commanders defense and look for that leaves you $4,200 left to spend. You could go with like somebody like Deion Jackson, who looks to be the number one running back for Indianapolis. I don't know that the floor is necessarily there, but you could definitely, you could get rid of TJ Hawkinson. Like you said, this is a cash game, so I'm looking for the floor. I want points. So you could pay down for like David Njoku, and that gives you $5,900 to spend. You go with somebody like Damian Pierce. You could even get a little bit cheaper, get rid of Njoku, pay all the way down for Hayden Hurst. He's just going to keep coming up. He's probably one of my biggest, one of my most popular tight ends. Yeah, Deion Jackson and probably Evan Hull. Yeah, definitely probably in a split. So if he's in a split, definitely don't want him with the floor not being there. So you could pay all the way down for Hayden Hurst. And that leaves you $7,100, which I feel like is a lot. That's a lot at the flex position. So even if you pay, talking pay up for the Ravens, $5,900 leaves you. I always keep landing on TJ Hawkinson, which I just don't feel like is a bad pick. I'm trying to think of what of the, if you're looking for just the floor, that leaves you Rachaad White. So you go Sam Howell, J.K. Dobbins, Jamal Williams, Keenan Allen, Jahan Dotson, Tyreek Hill, Hayden Hurst, Rachaad White, and Ravens defense. I think Kincaid's going to have a big game. What about Dawson Knox? Is Dawson Knox is he the redheaded stepchild now? Very big possibility. I just right now, like to me, and I just think back to Jahmyr Gibbs yesterday, and and blocker. Okay, I like that. I just think back to Jahmyr Gibbs. A lot of these rookies are playing in the very first game. I understand they play preseason, but it's just a little bit different. Yeah, like I said, I've read a lot of good things about Kincaid. To me, it's the first game of the season. You're coming out, you're trying to win. I think you just go with what you know. I think Stephon Diggs. Everybody talked about how high we were on James Cook. Well, at least I did, and that got shut down real quick. So, I don't know. I guess we're going to see and find out. But yeah, I like all these plays. I added some of these guys, Marvin Mims to my sheet. Van Jefferson. I like Van Jefferson. Kincaid. I think, what is Kincaid? How much is Kincaid? Kincaid's not even on the slate, bud. That's Monday night. Now you got me all messed up. You got me all flustered. I honestly like the Jets to win that game, but that's just me. I kind of feel that upset like the Chiefs got upset last night. With that being said, guys, we got a couple minutes left here. I've got 3 plays that I really like against the spread. These are just my plays. They're all aways. I think we see some of these home teams really take an L. I like the 49ers minus 2.5 against the Steelers. I like the Jags minus 4.5 against Indianapolis, and I like the Eagles minus 4 against New England. I already put a bet on the Eagles money line, so I like the Eagles. I don't know that I put any more bets on football. I keep getting all these happy hour boosts from DraftKings. I guess that's what happens when you're addicted to gambling. They give you all this stuff to kind of keep you opted in. I've got 2 no sweat bets for Sunday and Monday. Yeah, I don't think I have any more bets though. Yep, that's going to be it. Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles minus or straight up. But I like them against the spread too. I just took them. I took them straight up because DraftKings gave me an up 10 early win. So if they go up by 10 points, you automatically win, and you had to take a money line bet. But if I was going to put money on them, I put it on a minus 4. Took the Steelers money line. I could see it. I like the Niners though. I like the Niners with the less than a field goal. To me, that's huge. I think the 49ers could end up, walking it off with a late field goal, maybe a tie game. But honestly, I think the 49ers, I think they just shut down Kenny Pickett. I just don't, and I'm staying away from that game in DFS. I just don't think it's a game for me. I think that's it, guys. I think that's all I got. Now, I kind of went through each position group. Talked about some bets. Anything with, I like it just because it's not double digits, but the Ravens kind of let off the gas when it's not competitive. The Ravens really don't push themselves. That's why I don't like Lamar Jackson, is because he's really good when it's a back and forth game. But I just think I don't think they go too crazy. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Playing the main slate. I hope everybody had a good watch party last night with the Lions taking that W. I know DJ isn't a big fan of it, but it was a good game to watch, honestly. Pat Mahomes is human. He really doesn't have a whole lot. Honestly, it's not even Pat Mahomes either. It was Kadarius Toney. That was terrible. Oh, that was awful. Just an all-around bad game for that guy. I feel bad for him because I had high hopes for him. But I think Rashee Rice, I think we saw a star being born in Rashee Rice. I think he definitely overtakes that when Tony's in the doghouse. So, yeah, that's going to end it, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me on yeah, I would have cut Tony too. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Do this every Friday at 7:15. Look forward to hanging out with Brian. He'll be the other guy who's on here. He usually runs the show, but he had some stuff come up, so shout out to him. Hopefully everything's going good, and I can't wait to kind of bounce things back and forth. I'll be a little bit different. Kind of panicked a little bit and wrote up my list of what I was going to talk about, how things were going to go, but pretty all right. So nice. I didn't start Rice. I couldn't bring myself to do it in the showdown last night. I had Pacheco. I had Amon-Ra was he was my captain, and then Jahmyr Gibbs. I should have gone with Montgomery, but I like the upside on Gibbs, and then went Mahomes, Pacheco, Sky Moore, and Noah Gray. And it just seems like every time I try to, nice. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congrats. Yeah, I didn't cash. I was close. I just had Sky Moore dropping a couple balls that just didn't help me at all. But yeah, man, that's it. So Hope everybody had a good time, and we'll see you next week on the 4 Frequency Network. This is DFS Deep Dive. Have a good night.